Hi, I'm Mara Webster with Welcome to the Stage, and today I'm so thrilled to welcome to the stage Olivia Keegan to talk all about Scary Movie. And one of the things I wanted to talk about with your audition process was the fact that obviously when you started auditioning for Scary Movie, you didn't know that you were going to be playing Anna Faris's daughter in the movie, and
Yeah.
so you were very much kind of leaning against that type and not wanting to replicate anything that she was doing.
Yeah.
Once you were given the note from one of the producers that that was actually what the character was and her connection to the world, how did that change the way that you were reading the lines and going into the scenes that you were continuing to audition with?
I mean, it changed everything. It was also such a relief because I could just follow my initial instincts because I feel like I've talked about this so much, but like I just think the world of Anna and I've loved her work for so long that I think some of her performances like are, live somewhere inside me. And whenever I would go out for comedic projects in the past, I always had her as inspiration in my mind, as sort of a comedic North Star. And so I feel like the second I had permission to lean into that, I was like, oh God, I've hit the jackpot and I could just go back to all my like initial instincts, if that makes sense.
And you can see some of those essences in your performance. There's kind of a slight breathiness to your voice that's very similar to the way that she speaks, but you're also playing in her in a way where it's very clear that she hasn't had a close relationship with her mom for years. And so, how did you find where you wanted some of the essence of Anna and Cindy to come into it, and where you felt like Sarah really needed to be her own person?
Yeah, that was a big part of my prep work because I had Anna to pull from and Cindy Campbell and Sam from Scream was a big influence and of course Sarah like as her own person. And so a big part of my prep was just figuring out like technically, which of those felt best to lean into at certain moments. And so it's just a lot of like guess and check and experimenting and I'm a preparer. I feel so much better if I show up on set like knowing that I've done everything in my power to prepare and then I can be more confident and relaxed and play around. So I just remember like sitting in my living room going through the script like 100 times and working on certain scenes and just like literally trying things out. And it's a new way of working for me too. Like, there's not to say that there's not overlap between them, but with drama, it's like it's a lot of internal work and like daydreaming about the circumstances and emotionally connecting, and there is that too, but then there is a technical element on top of it of like and it's really satisfying to try things out and oh, that's the code, like you can crack the code in certain ways. And so that feeling of doing that and cracking that code with like, oh, 30% on here, 20%, Sam here, and then 10%. Like I don't know if there was an overarching, you know, rule that I had throughout, whether to lean one way or the other. I think the script and the moments in the script were, informative in that way. If we were spoofing directly a Scream 5 scene, then it was like a lot of influence from that performance, but like naturally in there. And so then I could be like, oh, so I'm already inherently doing the Scream spoof. So now where can I inject a little bit of this and this? But yeah, long-winded way of saying I really have no clue how I did it.
What was some of the specific pieces and elements with using Sam Carpenter from Scream as inspiration that you wanted to pull into playing Sarah in Scary Movie?
Oh, I mean, I think, well, a lot of the scenes were just very helpful as far as like the pill popping influence, and how her rocky relationship with her mother has sent her into this, drug spiral. I think that was really helpful. I'm trying so hard to get into the specifics and remember. Like, um, yeah, I think there's a lot of a few moments. Some I remember introducing myself to Doofy in the trailer park scene, and having the voice in my head of Sam going, I'm Sam Carpenter and blah blah blah. Like I don't know if it was the exact line, but certain moments of like her introducing herself to people in this very sort of like heroic way. Like a few little moments like that, I feel like are what comes to mind right now.
And the intention of heroism in Sarah is so funny because she really also just wants to run away and hide and have everybody else fix her problems for her. And so, what was that like, especially the first time she's confronted by Ghostface? The fact that she kind of starts to fight back, but the moment she sees anybody else, she's like, "Can you take care of this for me?"
I know. She has, that's how I like to describe Sarah. She has so much love to give and effort and passion, and it's just completely misdirected. And she doesn't know technically like how to follow through on, on the things that she wants so bad in her heart. Which is where obviously a lot of the comedy comes from. But yeah, yeah. So I love those moments.
To you, the way that you just described her, did that create a lot of earnestness that you really saw on the page in her of, I really want to do this thing, I really want to be present, I really want to get help from this person, but just kind of always going about everything in the wrong way?
Yes, yes, because it's always about, to break down the scene in a really classic actor way. It's all about intentions and what you want, what you expect versus what you get. And I feel like that was so clear with every scene because she so wholeheartedly wants something, you know? So that was very helpful. And also, you know, this is basically my first comedy, which is wild. I learned so much. And one of the more helpful things I learned was, and like comedy is big and outrageous as it seems, especially in a satirical spoof like scary movie. It's always still somehow grounded. And like you have to be connected to the truth of it all, the truth and the earnestness, like you were saying. Otherwise, it just doesn't land, it doesn't register. Like the reason, for instance, Anna is so amazing is because everything is sincere. It's locked into a sincere place. And it might seem crazy when you're watching those films and laughing your ass off and you're like, what do you mean? But if you actually, in my prep, I obviously studied a lot of those movies. And she's always connected to something real. All the characters are. That's, part of comedy, I think. You can't be like self-aware too much or winking at the audience. You have to just like fully commit, which is, it's nice to know that it's not in that way, not too dissimilar from the dramatic world.
And I think what you just described about the sincerity that's necessary for playing comedy is so present in the first time that Sarah sees her mom again for the first time in 6 years, because you have a daughter standing in front of her mom with a lot of emotional pain, a lot of trauma, and a lot of hurt. But at the same time, you are in the world of a comedy. And so, how did you find the parameters of how to lean into the sincerity, but still allow the comedy to come forward?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's very connected to what we were talking about. Like, you have to make it real, but then you just have to take away, any parameters on big or small, and you just have to feel free to like take it all the way, kind of like a child, which is a lot of in the school of acting. It's a very popular thought process that I love. It's like you just want to connect to like that the wonder of a child that you have when you're little and then you lose as you get older. And society beats its judgments into you, and so yeah, a lot of it is strangely reconnecting to that childlike excitement and experiencing everything genuinely for the first time. And that helps you reach sort of maybe a bigger kind of emotion, or experience the emotion just on a bigger scale because you're experiencing it for the first time like a kid does. If does that make sense?
It does. And even just hearing you describe some of the childlike elements that come into the play of acting, it also actually makes me think of some of the aspects of Sarah as a character, because there's a childlike quality to her when she's confronted with her mom. It's
Yeah.
the eye rolling, it kind of regresses her back a little
Yes.
bit.
She's so
And
stunted. Yeah.
how did you find the ways in which you felt you wanted her to come across as stunted and regressed?
Oh, I mean, I think a lot of that was born on set too, because like half of this movie I feel like is improv and just moments that were created there just in the middle of the scene. And so reacting to these weird things that Cindy would do, and just rolling my eyes at all. I feel like so many more things, like so many more moments were created on the day that it really escalated the tension between the mother-daughter, and the eye rolls and the scoffs and all of that. So yeah, and I also feel like the script was pretty good at creating a pretty instinctual feeling of like when that would happen. Um, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also the first time that Sarah sees Cindy in the movie, you can kind of feel this palpable disappointment because she has no idea what to expect when she goes into the house. And it feels like it's probably exactly the same as when she left. You're still
Yeah,
sitting there completely paranoid, drinking yourself to an early grave, probably. And
yeah.
so, how did you find the way that the disappointment was going to sit, again with the emotion, but the comedy at play?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know. I feel like I don't want to cop out. I feel like a lot of it just goes back to like, okay, how do I make this genuine but on a large scale? Like how do I connect this to truth? But, I'm not in a indie drama. I'm in a comedy, so I
Yeah.
can feel it to its fullest extent. Um, and yeah, I think again, Anna was just so good at delivering those weirdly overbearing, but also totally not with it. Like it's so weird. Cindy's so good at like, being a weird hover parent, but also just somewhere else the entire time and not caring about her daughter for what was it? Like it's been 6 years. Um, so yeah.
But even Sarah has her own coping mechanisms for everything that she's been through. And I've heard
Yeah.
you describe how the initial sides that you had even auditioning were just, she's a high-strung, pill-popping, tough cookie
Yeah.
as the
Yeah.
descriptor for her. And obviously, we see her literally downing a whole thing of pills called mommy issues. We see her going for the morphine drip. What were the aspects of that that you enjoyed getting to really lean into because that's where you kind of can be much bigger with your choices.
Yes, yes, I know. You're allowed to be big in Scary Movie, point blank. But then when you're on drugs in Scary Movie, it's like a whole nother level. So that was an extra level of getting to play freely. Um, and yeah, she just wants to escape. She just wants to dissociate, and she gets to because of her drug habits. And also just any scene with Savannah, who plays Tuesday too, is so much fun. That hospital scene, I think that was the first day of it was one of our first, you know, bigger days of filming in general. And then I think it was the first day that I really got the gist of things of like, oh, we're all here to play and try things out. And Marlon would just be shooting ideas from, off, in the other room, like say this, and I was bringing my own ideas in, and so was Savannah, so was Cameron, and the scene ended up taking, some completely new twists and turns, and that's a completely new way of working for me. Like I've never worked that way, and getting to come in and, just know that my own ideas have some worth is a very new thing for me, which it shouldn't be. I should have known this all along, but I've just never really thought of myself as a comedian or especially gifted improviser. So, yeah, I remember going home after the whole hospital sequence with the morphine and everything, and just feeling like, oh, this is unlike anything I've ever done in the past, and B, like I just feel so supported and encouraged to listen to my own creative intuition and collaborate. It was just really, yeah, that was such a gift.
The hospital scene between Sarah and Tuesday is also so great in terms of the physical comedy it allows you to do because Sarah has such a lack of spatial awareness and has no idea that everything she's doing is actually injuring and physically harming her sister in the hospital bed.
Yeah.
And so how did you find the parameters of the physical comedy as much as you were talking about the improv as well at the same time?
I think a lot of that is also just me. Like I also don't have much spatial awareness sometimes as a person. Uh, obviously Sarah's a whole new level, but yeah, as far as getting to explore that, I think that was just a big part of my prep too. I knew that these movies were so physical going into it, and so a lot of my prep, you know, every whether you're working with a drama or a comedy, everything you say, it's interesting just as an exercise to think about like a physical gesture that would be underneath it and to try that out. Sometimes it just helps you, even if you're going to be, and even if you end up having to be completely still for a close-up shot, like having that, knowing what you're physically trying to do when you're saying something, really just helps. So I think once again, it was just getting to, follow a similar process that maybe I do with a dramatic script in a non-scary movie world, and then being able to, okay, you know what? I can take this to the next level. They don't need a still close-up shot. I can be fully expressive with my body, which was very freeing and also very new, and a really helpful part of building Sarah.
And there's also a really fun aspect of the fact that she is very sincere towards her sister and
Mhm.
also just, again, just kind of oblivious to the things she's saying and the digs
Yeah.
that she's kind of making. It's, no, I don't want you to come stay with me because what if the killer comes and gets me? And, oh, I've already written your obituary and taken care of the idea of your funeral. Like, I'm prepared for your death, but I really don't want it to happen. And
Yeah,
so, how
yeah.
did you
But
enjoy
like she
getting to
weirdly
play?
does because she just wants to be a good sister because she would like make the funeral really like really chic.
It would actually be great to see the funeral that she had planned for Tuesday play out.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I think also that was me and Savannah's chem read scene. And somehow we obviously after the scene concluded, we kept on improvising for like another minute and a half or 5 minutes, I don't even know, until our creative team hopped on Zoom and was like, okay, thank you. We know you guys are weird. But somehow I remember making it so much about me, even in the chem read, like improv. I somehow ended up singing Sarah McLaughlin's "In the Arms of an Angel," like to her dead body. I'm trying so hard to remember how we got there, but yeah.
What do you remember about the chemistry read that you did with Cameron Scott Roberts, who plays Jack in the film as well? Because I know the two of you had Zoom chemistry reads together as well.
Yes, that was so much fun. And you think that a chemistry read over Zoom, it would be counterintuitive because it's like, how can you have chemistry over Zoom? But I could immediately, like everyone who was there was immensely talented, obviously, but like Cameron got on screen and we started the scene and we immediately just started doing these weird things like I and I I don't know if this is an appropriate like little detail okay, well I guess we're talking scary movies so I'll speak in code, but I grow something in my
Yes.
pants in the first scene, and so I emulated that in the Zoom camera and put something in there to emulate it, and then Cameron immediately got the idea to start doing something to the thing that I grew, and I decided to do something to him with the thing that I grew, and so it changed the whole dynamic of the scene, and it was so fun and crazy, and then we also kept improvising, I think, after the scene concluded, until, Marlon and the creative team hopped on and was like, okay, that was iconic. That was insane. Let's do a normal one just for, just so we have it. But I do think that weird risk worked in our favor because it's a scary movie. Like, you have to take it too far, and you can always be pulled back. You can always, be reined in. But just and it's also like you have to be willing to go there and look like a fool, which is the fun part. There's no vanity, there's no ego. You just have to do weird stuff and try things out. So yeah.
I actually think what's impressive hearing that is finding physical comedy over Zoom where you're not in the
Yeah,
same space together
yeah,
is kind
yeah.
of a unique thing to have to figure out.
100%. Yeah, I never would have thought that that would have happened, any of it. But because again, I've never played in this world until now. I've never done a comedy, especially a comedy like this, especially a comedy with like these renowned, you know, insanely talented comedians, some of the greatest comedians on this planet. Like that's how I do my first comedy. That's crazy. So I just tried to soak it all in, and I think I learned a lot.
I also really love what you just described about feeling very uninhibited because it is the world of Scary Movie and you have to be able to kind of do the embarrassing things almost in it's like make the much bigger choice than you would maybe naturally do it under any other project. And
Yeah.
how do you feel like as an actor that's kind of just changed the way that you feel because acting is so inherently vulnerable to begin with and then you take it to that level.
Yeah, yeah. It's again, it's just really freeing, and you have to be willing to fail, and that's the beautiful part of it. It's scary. I mean, I coming into this, it was very intimidating. I knew that I had never been in a world like this, and then immediately, you know, within the first few days on set, everyone was just so welcoming and kind and playful, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this is just going to be a blast." It's when I talk about this whole experience, sometimes it sounds like I'm like making up how great it was, but it actually was that great, which is wild. But wait, you had an initial question. I feel like I didn't actually answer it.
Well, it was just about the way that it kind of allowed you to feel very uninhibited in a different way from going through this
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And that's like sort of what you're always searching for. Um, to just be uninhibited, whether that's an indie drama or a scary movie, satirical film. So, yeah, it was a very concentrated way of feeling a lot of that in on one set from everyone.
I also like what you were describing about the fact that you could always make a really big choice because you can always come back down from it. And I
Yeah.
think that's a really interesting space for this franchise to play from versus trying to gradually build it up. And
Right.
so, what was that like going into scenes consistently and just thinking, okay, well, here's the choice I could make, but maybe I could try it up here to begin with?
Right. Well, I think look, every day is different. Sometimes the scene you have a thousand ideas for is the scene that's shot at the end of the day and you have one take. I think that's like, I think we had one take of each angle for the first scene with Anna at her house, at her cabin. And a few days are like that. Like it's of course the scene you have so many ideas for that you then are like, okay, well, we'll just stick to the script, and the script is incredibly hilarious as is, and that's fine. And then you do it again the next day. And then if you're shooting towards the beginning half of the day, you're more likely to have some space to play. And you know, but even so, I think I still have some room to learn in that regard. I think I still, because comedy and improv is so new to me, I think I wish I was even more just free with testing out ideas. And some people are so naturally gifted at that. And I think I got better as the shoot progressed. But yeah, in a dream world, I'd be able to allow myself to just say, "Hey, I want to try some things out. Let's do this." On the first take, and then you can rein it back in from there. And that did happen sometimes, and it's not always going to be like that because of technicalities, etc. But in a dream world, I would like to exist in that world and be able to play that way like every day.
I also think in the world of improv on a movie like this, it's so interesting how foundational the script is because
Yeah.
you kind of need to have a really specific script in order to know the parameters of where is it that we can potentially take this, what are the different ways that we can play a scene, and especially when you have the Wayans brothers who have written the script who are also on set kind of playing around with it, that kind of helps to guide the possible directions. And so as someone kind of developing more of an improv bone in your muscle in yourself, how did the script and just having them on set to kind of guide that become really helpful for you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I learned so much from each of them. Like the core four, and then you got Dave Sheridan, and then Sherry O'Terry and Chris Elliott. Like there's so much to learn from all these people, and they're so different and brilliant in their own ways. I feel like I learned I would, Marlon was so good at encouraging us to just trust ourselves, and he naturally has that fearlessness within him. So watching him just try stuff out for 25 minutes, he could just keep going and go. I don't know how. He can just like he has like 50 million ideas of how each scene could work in his mind, and I love to just watch the cameras roll and watch him just go and go. Can we try this? Okay, now this way. And it's a totally different scene every time. And it, therefore affects something that Regina says, then something that we say, then something that Ruby says, then something that like it's so contagiously playful. Um, but yeah, so having the Wayans there, back to like what we were talking about, was very, very informative and helpful, and Sean's amazing, and he's someone who, like, Marlon and Sean work in different ways, and then it just coalesces so beautifully and so well. And Sean is somebody who just like he finds the pocket, and he somehow can just never slips, never strays from being so funny. And I just describe it as like in the pocket because I don't know how else to describe it, but he's just so he just knows what's necessary to create the weirdest, funniest moment. Um, so just watching both of their machines work so differently, I feel like I just learned so much.
It's so fascinating. And one of the other things about Sarah is she's someone who is maybe a few steps behind figuring out what's actually going on around her a lot of the time. The very first time that she's on the phone and then she realizes it's Ghostface, it's very clear to the audience before it's ever clear to her. And
Yeah.
so as you would go into scenes and look at the things happening around her, how would you play around with the different places where, okay, I think she'd figure it out probably about here in this moment?
Yeah, yeah, just always a little too late. Um, which goes back to like the intensity of the intention that you can feel in these scenes in this world, like, and just having this blind passion and determination. And then there's like a technical comedic payoff when it's like a 180. Um, I feel like it was again like the script was so good at just painting such a picture with such a rhythm when you're reading it. And of course, then sometimes you get on set and it's like, well, we did one with the script. Now screw the script. Now let's do your guys' version. And so that could change on the day. But I feel like the script itself was so informative naturally, and I could just see it all happening in my mind, and I just tried to tune in to the rhythm, and it was pretty clear. Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy that the experience of your first comedy was in this world with these incredible people around you and something that was such a great experience, and hope that it plays into projects that you get to do in the future. And thank you so much for talking about it. Really
Thank
appreciate it.
you so much. You had such wonderful questions, and like, thank you. I got to think about things that I haven't thought about in a while, and I probably sounded like a mess during some of that, but I really appreciate it. It's so you had some really thoughtful questions, so thank you so much.
Thank you.